Deck your halls with windows and doors from New South. We keep your home comfy and cozy and can save you hundreds a year on energy bills. Plus, every product we make and install is guaranteed for life. It's another reason to be jolly all year long. Now, through December 31st, you have one more reason to celebrate. Buy 2 New South windows and doors and get one free. Visit newsouthwindow.com/radio to get a quote.
Decisions.
Wait a minute. Are you still looking for cars on Carvana?
Yeah, decisions.
When I used Carvana, I found the exact car I was looking for in minutes. Bought it on the spot.
Electric or full diesel? Decisions.
Come on, you've been at it for weeks. Just buy it already.
You're right. Crossover it is. Decisions decided.
Whether you know exactly what you want or like to take your time, buy your car the convenient way with Carvana.
Back and forth. Oh! He broke his ankle.
Throws and it's caught. Touchdown!
Drops back to goal. It's picked up. Touchdown!
Shotgun snap. Under pressure. Ball is through.
This is the Mean Gene Show
on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
From the Veritex Community Bank Studios, here's Mean Gene.
Hello, everyone. Well, you can pretty much tell we're not really in the studio, getting ready for Week 13 of the National Football League, and I am joined by, we found him, AJ. He somehow showed up knocking on my door and said, man, I'm ready for Week 13 of the NFL, and it's Jacob Meadows from the Coach's Quarters here on the Mean Gene Show.
What is up, everybody? What's up, AJ? What's up, Mr. Dean? I missed you guys last week. I was out of it. I was down for the count. I could not make it, but I am happy to be back.
AJ, we didn't tell all this business last week, right? We just went ahead and rolled with the flow.
Yeah, that's all we did. Yeah, we were just
sure.
Yeah, that's all we did, folks. Well, hey, hope everyone had a happy out there. Here in H-Town, hope you didn't eat too much. You know, look, one reason why we're sitting down because, you can't see my stomach now. This is like, okay, I was told that you had to set your scales back 15 pounds on Thanksgiving. AJ, you are 15 pounds, but I do not.
Oh, well, no, I mean, I don't gorge myself on Thanksgiving. That was like a young child thing. I just pace myself, so no, I didn't worry about that. I went to the gym on Thanksgiving and the day after, too, so.
Yeah, we know he goes to the gym, don't he, Jacob?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Folks, yeah, AJ, look, AJ is all cut up there, I think that when I was his age, I think,
Yeah, I mean, you were in the military, too, though, so you kind of had to, yeah.
Well, yeah, that military stuff, don't take me down that road. But, hey, folks, we hope you're ready for a Week 13 recap of the NFL. Look, the season, there's only a couple of more weeks, okay? Fantasy football players, we got at the end of the show, we're going to kind of get you update and let you know, get ready for the playoffs here because depending on what kind of league you're in, Jacob, you may miss the playoffs if you don't pay attention.
You're 100% right. It's a lot of players playing really well here at the end of the season. A lot of them were like the free agent pickup gems. A lot of the people you think were going to do good at the beginning of the year most certainly have not panned out the way that others have.
Yeah, if you're still stuck with your original roster, you're probably in last place, okay? I mean, you have to move and groove when it comes to fantasy football. But anyway, all right, how about this? Because the NFL season for Week 13, this week there were no buys, okay? So no one had a buy. This is a crazy weekend for Thanksgiving for the NFL and for fantasy football guys because you have to have your lineups in, 3 games on Thursday, 1 on Friday. This Black Friday game is just, we're going to talk about that later because I'm like, okay, first of all, you call it a Black Friday game when everybody's out there shopping.
Mm-hmm. To be honest, I missed it. I had to watch replays. I didn't even realize it was happening. So, yeah.
It's the second time they've done that. And it's like, okay, why do you have a game at 1 o'clock in the Eastern time on a Friday?
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, what were you going to say, AJ?
Oh, no, I was just going to say, yeah, it's that early, but yeah.
It's just crazy, okay? All right, so like we said, no teams on the bye this week. We're going to talk about the Black Friday games here. We had 7 early games today, and there were 3 games here in the late window we're going to talk about for the Snow Bowl that's happening at Hallmark Stadium in Buffalo, New York. It's going to be the 49ers at the Bills. And, oh, man, I know you're excited, Jacob.
I'm stoked. CMC is either going to make or break my season in your fantasy league this week. So that game to go. I need the needle to tilt my way on that one. I'm really holding out for it. So it's going to be – there's like 2 feet of snow in that stadium. It's going to be awesome.
Poor fans there. You know, they do this thing every year, I guess, where fans, what, they pay you or give you a free ticket or whatever if you help shovel the snow. I don't know. I'm like, man, that's on TV. You know, I don't need that. But anyway, and we also will make our predictions on Monday night's game. It's going to be the Browns and the Broncos. Okay, we'll give you all of our, opinions on that. Okay, so also, all right, if you are following us, so if you're seeing our faces, then you're obviously on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/@ESPN Houston. Okay, and we're also on Twitch. And I tell you what, AJ, I know you couldn't wait to talk about this today. And, man, look, the Cowboys beat the Giants on Thanksgiving Day. Their first win at home for the season. And, AJ, were you excited?
I mean, we couldn't lose to the Giants, especially on Thanksgiving, because I believe there's like almost 40 million people watching. So, you had to win that game. But don't get me wrong, I still want them to embrace the tank. But then they play the Bengals next week, too, though. While their offense is dynamic, I do think that their defense is so shaky that they can be had, honestly. So I feel like they could beat the Bengals, to be honest, too. So I wouldn't be surprised at all.
You're going to be playing a pissed off Bengals, huh, Jacob?
Oh, yeah. Hey, Cooper Rush looked good, AJ. Cooper Rush is a quarterback.
Yeah, he's a quarterback in the NFL, yeah. he's a really good backup.
Cooper Rush, football guy.
Yeah,
like, he may not be like a star, but I mean, as a fill-in for the Dak Prescott, like Cooper Rush is a pretty good quarterback.
Yeah, no, he for sure. He's one of the best backups in the league. I'll say that most definitely. But
the stats were not as good for that game, but give it up to the running game. I think
Rico.
The Cowboys are pretty solid with the running back that they have. It seems like Rico has gotten better as the season has progressed.
No, I agree for sure. He had 112 rushing yards on 20 carries, so that was good. But I still feel like I would want him back next year, but I want him as like a running back number 2. That's why I want them to get Genty or someone like that, or maybe a free agent potentially. But I would want Genty because, I mean, that's a young running back, things of that nature. He would be able to transform that backfield and offense, really.
It's going to be interesting to see here, folks. I mean, that was a pretty good game. Cowboys win 27-20, and let's see. I think we got some sound bites from that game on Thursday, Thanksgiving Day.
Block with play action. Screen. Tipped up in the air and intercepted by Otis Jones. Running right to the goal line. Touchdown. Oh, fair show. Oh, what an athletic play that is.
That guy has really stepped up on defense. And look, from a fantasy perspective, I had to go with the Cowboys defense, knowing they were going up against the Giants. And I think I got like 19 points. That was a pretty good defensive stand for the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, dang. I can't blame you. Yeah, I used to have them like earlier in the year, and I've been having them the past few years. But when they started to lose those games and those blowouts, I've dropped them. But I will say the Overshown, I told a lot of people about him before this season. Like, he is a dynamic linebacker. He got hurt last year in his rookie year in the preseason. But him and Micah, they're going to be a good tandem for years to come in terms of the Cowboys' defense, for sure. Like, they're physical freaks, too.
Jacob, what were your thoughts on that Thanksgiving Day game, Dallas?
I thought it was good. I hate it for the same reason that AJ does, right? Like, you want the better draft pick. Like, is more important. But, if you listen to Micah Parsons' podcast, they're not out of the playoffs yet. Dallas is going to win the Super Bowl. This is y'all's year. Like, this is the year. So, I mean, that kind of sucks because honestly, I hate the Cowboys. But if Genty went there, like, that'd be dope. It'd be really fun to watch. And it's in Texas, so I can see him in person.
Oh, yeah, a lot of people are forgetting about that guy over there in Boise State. But, hey, big win for the Dallas Cowboys. One of the other games that took place on Thanksgiving Day, it was the red-hot Detroit Lions who extended their win streak to 10 games. They held off the Chicago Bears for a 20-3. And I tell you what, man, I don't know what to say. Do we applaud the Detroit Lions for their performance, or do we just go ahead and rip the Chicago Bears for an opportunity at the end of that game, how they blew that game, Jacob?
I think it's a little bit of both worlds, right? Like, you have to be upset with Detroit for almost blowing a lead, for one. There was no reason for Chicago to ever be in that with the state of what they were. And then Eberflus got fired from Chicago. So, like, the damage has been done. They are setting their sights on the future at this point, and you just kind of have to take it at face value, because I think this game really shows Williams is a guy. Like, he is going to end up being good at football. Maybe it really was coaching holding the Bears back this whole time. And then on the flip side, somehow, Dan Campbell let Chicago come back in a game that they should have never taken their foot off the gas in. And there was no reason for the Bears to ever be in that in the first place. You have to worry about faltering here at the end of the year. There were a lot of injuries. Maybe they're getting worn out a little bit. And that's not what you want to see at the end of the season when you're supposed to be the best team in the NFC.
Yeah, man, things change there, and you know, with teams. Look, I mean, it's a 17-game, season. Things change. It's hard to keep up that moment. Philly is doing things a lot different than what they did last year. It's like a tale of two different teams. Where this time last year, Philly was like just tanking. It seems like, and look at what those guys are doing. I mean, one player just made one hell of a difference there. But if you're the Detroit Lions, you're in uncharted territories. You haven't been this good since World War II, right? So, no one knows what to expect, and you still hold your breath when you watch teams like this, especially when the Bears almost come back to get a game time field goal or maybe even a go ahead touchdown. But you're right, in that position at all. So anyway, Matt Eberflus, he is out of there. Rarely does the Bears fire a coach in the middle of the season. This is the first time in their 100-plus year history that they have fired a coach in the middle of the season. So a couple of weeks ago, I don't know if Black Monday is going to have that meaning that it used to have in the NFL, where you just sit around and wait and see who's going to be fired, because I think all the coaches have been fired.
Yeah, I mean, they are all gone. I mean, off the top of my head, there's nobody deserving of it anymore, unless Brian Daboll got cut and they back. So, I mean, Black Monday is going to be a pretty quiet day for the NFL for the first time in what seems like a while this year.
It might be just more GMs or front office people, or maybe position coaches changing, but it seems like the head coaching thing is already. I think people are already taking care of business. So, look, we got one more game we're going to talk about from the Thanksgiving Day schedule, and that's going to be the Packers and the Dolphins, and we'll do all of that when we return. Folks, once again, you are listening to the Mean Gene Show right here on ESPN 97.5 Houston.
This is the Mean Gene Show
on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
From the Veritex Community Bank Studios, here's Mean Gene.
Okay, once again, we are back. It's the Mean Gene Show with Jacob Meadows and our producer in the studio, and AJ, and we are getting you all of the updates from Week 13 of the National Football League, which got underway Thanksgiving Day. We talked about the Bears and the Lions, and was it the Bears and Lions? Yeah, and we talked about so there was another game on, Jacob, that was an unusual matchup. Yeah, I can't remember watching many Miami Dolphins, Green Bay Packer games, but this was a pretty interesting game as the Dolphins maintaining their spot second place in the AFC East division, which I don't know. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I think only one team is going to come out of that East. But the most interesting thing is the Packers, though, with a 9-3 record. They're third place in the NFC North, which I think 3 teams will probably make that playoffs, Jacob. But, man, what a win. Packers win 30 to the
Dolphins.
Miami Dolphins, yeah.
It's crazy that the Packers are 9-3 and in third place. Like I was talking before we came on live that, I really didn't think the Packers were going to be that good this year, and it turns out they're legit. They just happen to be in the toughest division in football this season, and they steamrolled the Dolphins. It was nowhere near as close as the final score.
No.
My roommate's a diehard, lifelong Miami fan. He was in shambles the entire game. He was real sad after Tua ended his – because Tua came back, played good ball. Tua's been pretty solid since he came back. And, man, Green Bay just absolutely obliterated them throughout the game. It could have been worse, but it definitely wasn't good.
And sometimes I wonder what the game plan is for the Miami Dolphins when they come into a game like this. They were shut out in the first quarter, only got 3 up in the second quarter, 8 in the third, and 6 in the fourth. So, look, it was, like you said, it was a game. It should have been a blowout. Let's not take anything away from the Packers. I mean, they're 9-3 for a reason, and Jordan Love is having a sensational season, as well as the receivers, and not to mention running the ball as Josh Jacobs. Man, I got to think that the Raiders really missed this guy. He was, 19 carries, 43 yards, but he got a touchdown. He got in the end zone. But, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I just think the Green Bay Packers, I cannot wait to see what they're going to do in the playoffs this year.
I think that's one of the teams you don't want to play. And it was similar last season. They were kind of that dark horse team that you really didn't want to go up against because they're so young, capable of popping off at any given time. And I think the Packers are going to be one of the scarier teams because despite the fact that they're third place, I think they're much more intimidating than the Vikings. So the Packers are going to be a force come the playoffs, assuming they have 3 teams enter the playoffs or that they don't leap number 2. But, yeah, man, I'll tell you what, the Packers are something serious this season.
They are serious. But how many games are we going to watch where Tua Tagovailoa will have nearly 400 yards passing, but it's not showing up in wins? It's not showing up. I mean, and it's one of those, he'll get hot in a quarter and then just taper off. I mean, these stats are not bad. He put the ball up 46 times, 365 yards, 2 touchdowns. Not really bad, but, man, it's just not enough for Miami to win.
It might not happen on Black Monday, but one of the coaches that there's not enough chatter about is I think Mike McDaniel hotter seat than what people think. And if there's not just a massive turnaround by the end of the season, I think he may be let go at the end of the year, opening one of the probably most prestigious coaching opportunities up to a free agent coach outside of Chicago. Like this could be a very sought after position with it, because it does feel like coaching might be part of the problem. The clock management is bad. It doesn't feel like they take full advantage of their personnel. I mean, I know Ty Hill's wrist is all banged up, but I mean, it just doesn't feel like Mike McDaniel's doing a terrific job this year. And we could see the end of the Mike McDaniel era in Miami, and this game might just be a catalyst for it after how bad the Packers made Miami look throughout.
AJ, what are your thoughts on that? You think they shake McDaniel this early in his contract?
Well, I know they just gave him a contract extension before the year started to 2027, so I don't know how likely that is. I mean, because he'll get some slack too because of Tua being out as well, but I think they have to have better contingency plans in terms of, if Tua does get hurt too, because I mean, you can't just lose your quarterback and then boom, your season's over again, because you never know what's going to happen.
That is true. That is true. So it should be interesting, and they still have an outside, just small chance of sneaking into the playoffs. We just have to see how everything pans out. So, okay, look, how many times this year have we talked about the Chiefs' wins and the fact of how they win? Okay, so on Black Friday, okay, if you missed the game, Chiefs win the game 19-17, and it was as close as the score indicate because they recovered a botched snap in by the Raiders in the closing seconds of that game to clinch not only the win but a playoff berth with a 19-17 victory, and we have still yet to see the best of the Chiefs. Oh, and by the way, Pacheco returned.
Yeah, Pacheco's a dog, man. That guy is so good. But at the end of that game, just like what seems like the end of every Kansas City game, and everybody outside of Kansas City who's not a fan of Kansas City gets to complain week in and week out. They're the best team in the league. All they do is win. It is terrific. But, man, it's a controversial call every single time. Looks like the line ref blew it dead at the line. They ended up not blowing it dead at the line at the end of that game. Fumble goes to Kansas City. Kansas City gets the dub. That game was nuts. The Raiders could have won that game. And if the Raiders kicker doesn't miss the kick, right, and if the Raiders play a little better, they win that game. Kansas City's a beatable team. They're just not a beatable team.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to see here. And look, you don't want to have one of those years where you just, get by and get to – I mean, right now, if the playoffs were to start today, I think Buffalo or whoever would just probably beat the brakes off the Chiefs. I think this would be the year that Buffalo can beat the Chiefs, but don't count these guys out. Man, they seem to like to play under the radar. How they win ugly games like this, I do not know. And there's a lot of chatter out there, guys, that the referees are just really kind of giving them a lot of favoritism.
Yeah, and Hollywood's coming back. We're nearing Hollywood Brown coming back for him, which again sucks for the rest of the league if you're not a Chiefs fan. But if you are a Chiefs fan, it's fantastic because Hollywood's going to give that offense that extra little bit of oomph after having Xavier Worthy there and getting basically anything they can out of everybody that's still there. And their defense is legit. So,
well, now look, one of our guys in the chat is a little bit overrated. I mean, I would have to agree with them because they are not. Look, this game could have easily went to the Raiders, and it probably should have. And I don't know. I don't like the way it ended. I think the Chiefs did get some favoritism there.
I can't argue with that. It looks like the refs don't want to step in and stop the three-peat from being possible.
Because you can't complain, right? If you complain, you're going to get fined. But anyway, let's talk about the one bright spot for the Las Vegas Raiders. And I just hate to talk about the Raiders. They treated us so well when we was in Las Vegas. I mean, it's just I don't know. It's a great city, folks. If you ever been to Vegas, of course, some people don't like Vegas, Jacob, but we do, right?
We sure do.
We sure do.
Baby.
But look here. Brock Bowers, let me tell you, man, this guy is the real deal. He was targeted 14 times, 10 receptions, 140 yards. This guy is the real deal. I think they miss him in Georgia, don't they?
Yeah, you're not kidding. He's about to break every tight end record that exists for a rookie tight end in the NFL. He's better than what anybody anticipated coming out of Georgia, and he was already pegged to be one of the greatest coming out of Georgia. Like he never looked this good for the Dogs, and that's saying something because he literally looked like one of the best players in college football week in and week out for the Dogs. So yeah, good on the Raiders for getting him.
Yeah, and look, as far as Antonio, is it Pierce?
Pierce.
Yeah, is it Antonio Pierce?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't think he's going to keep that job. And look, and Raider fans are not shocked. Anytime anyone gets a short 2-year contract like that, it's almost like it's like he started with an extension, not a contract. That's not a contract, right? Contracts now going for 5 to 7 years at least for coaches.
Long, yeah.
It seems like. So this guy, he's not going to be the coach next year. They're probably going to get a high draft pick. So we'll see. But it's just unfortunate. The Raiders are just playing crappy ball there. And speaking of crappy ball, okay, we got to bring it home. Okay, the Houston Texans today. Oh man, this was Jacob. Can you describe this game in one word?
Not on ESPN radio, but I mean, man, they are the Texans. Ooh. I am a homer, right? I love the Houston Texans, but God bless, they are a terrible football team right now. That the defense looks good. There are flashes of bad. Don't get me wrong, but man, that offense is just. Jones looked elite today.
Yeah.
Mac Jones hasn't looked elite since Alabama, and that was a stretch when he was there. It is just.
Well, let's talk about how he got into the game, which is just really crazy that Trevor Lawrence gets knocked out the game by
Alshire, Agent Zero.
Look, a really bad play, a bad hit, and he got ejected, rightfully so. So did one of the other guys on the Jaguars. But look, man, they nearly staged a comeback and beat the Texans. And look, the Texans are 8-5, very comfortable in the AFC South. But this 8-5, this team is completely different than last year's team. And I see trouble on the horizon in the playoffs, because we've seen some really bad play.
We have, and I don't want to say, especially not in Houston, that there's a Black Friday firing that I'm hoping on. And you don't let go of your OC in the middle of a season, but it does feel like. It feels like Slowick's schemes have been figured out, and Slowick doesn't know how to re-scheme in the middle of a game. Like he has a game plan, right? Like he has an idea of what he wants, and if it doesn't work, he just doubles down on it. There is no you don't get away from what the actual scheme is. It does feel like it's killing this offense, and we may have an OC opening going into next season. Then it very well might be warranted.
And you know what? And I don't want to, scare anyone. I mean, we've seen teams go through slumps, and who knows? They could just really turn it around here. This is a new month. It's December. Things could change, and the old cliche. You want to be playing good football in December and carry that over into January. Mm-hmm. So we should see. But I think there should be some concern for the Houston Texans as they are easily going to win the AFC South and get into the playoffs. But the question is how they're going to play when they get there. So look, we are at the take a break. When we come back, we got Chargers and Falcons, Titans and Commanders, and Cardinals and Vikings updates for you on the Mean Gene Show with Jacob Meadows right here on ESPN 97.5.
You're listening to the Mean Gene Show
on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
For the Veritex Community Bank Studios, here's Mean Gene.
All right, welcome back, folks. Once again, it's the Mean Gene Show on ESPN 97.5 with my man from the coach's quarters, Jacob. You've been talking about on the coach's quarters.
Man, we've been slow to put out some content. I've been using these shows for a little bit now. It's a whirlwind at the house, and we keep losing power. We had this internet company come out and they installed fiber throughout our neighborhood. All of the existing neighborhood, and the entire neighborhood has lost power about twice every week for about 2 months now, and it's a nightmare because we're losing power for a day to 2 days at a time. The guys aren't coming out and fixing anything. Like, all the yards are torn up, and it has been a nightmare. I get lucky if I get to watch the games at my house somewhere else.
Get out of here.
Man, it sucks. We're on the wrong side of the tracks. That's all.
That's not good. That's not good. Hey, a quick shout out.
It's Chewy 713. Little Chewy
713, man. Thanks for chiming in, keeping me and Jacob on our toes here because
it's good content. It's good,
very good content. Thanks for connecting with us. Okay, so we got more games we want to cover from the early games, 7 early games that were played today, week 13 of the National Football League. Once again, no buys. Okay, so if you're playing fantasy football, everybody should have. Okay, this next game here. How about the 8-4 Chargers and the 6-6 Atlanta Falcons? So don't laugh, but the Falcons are first place in the NFC South at 6-6. Okay, yeah, that's what it is. But anyway, the Chargers got the better of them today, and boy, when I say the better, I mean they got the better of AJ. Is he your cousin? He's not. Wait a minute,
no,
Jacob, is he your cousin? No, he's Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins,
who threw how many? 1, 2, 3, 4 interceptions a day. I don't know. And we talk about this all the time. When you get the good Kirk Cousins, you get the good one. How the hell they are in first place in the NFC South? I don't know.
That is a tough division that nobody wants to win. For the second year in a row, might I add. That was a tough division to win for no reason last year, too. And, this Captain Kirk, right? I wanted Kirk Cousins in all my fantasy leagues. I believed that Raheem Morris and Kirk Cousins were going to take down the NFL. And now, he's the closest thing. He reminds me of the end of his career, Matt Schaub, more than anybody else has since Matt Schaub walked. And Matt Schaub issues. I don't think that's it with Kirk Cousins. And man, that Falcons team is hurting with all of the. This is his third or fourth game with 3+ picks, Gene.
Well, I mean, look at these stats here, folks, and I'm not making this up. 24 of 39, 245 yards, no touchdowns, 4 interceptions, quarterback rating. It's not like they don't have Bijan Robinson, who they probably should have gave the ball more to. The game plan probably should have changed when he wasn't connecting to anybody. I was expecting a big game from London today. That didn't happen. Bijan Robinson did have a pretty good game. But I tell you what, man, the rookies this year in the NFL are Lad McConkey. Is that another Georgia guy?
It sure is.
Oh, my goodness. What the?
Stud.
Okay, he was targeted 12 times. Look, this is something that the Atlanta Falcons knew he was going to be targeted that many damn times, and they couldn't do nothing. 9 receptions, 117 yards. And how about Ray McLeod? He was probably the biggest bright spot on as far as the receivers go for the Falcons.
He was good for Drake. I can't say too much bad about Drake London. He put up 17 points on my fantasy benches. Drake London did look pretty good. He made some solid grabs that probably shouldn't have been caught. But yeah, Ray he's really looked good for Atlanta in spurts, but he has looked good.
Here's the thing that tells you it was all Kirk Cousins. Okay, Falcons 24 first downs to the Chargers 10. All right, passing yards, believe it or not, 234 to their 131. Rushing yards, 116 to 56 in the total. 350 to 187. You're supposed to win those games with these type of stats. This was all on Kirk Cousins, and I'm beginning to think now that maybe they should have kept Desmond Ritter. I don't think.
Well, they drafted Michael Penix, so if any conversation there, it'll be that one.
Just waiting.
I'm surprised he didn't get into the game.
Go ahead, AJ. My bad.
Oh no, you're good. I was just saying that. You're paying Kirk too much, so.
Yeah.
You're right about that.
And not all of it. A lot of it was Kirk. But you can't blame it. There were some tip balls, and there were some catches that should have been made that weren't. And you got to feel a little bad for Kirk some of the time, but with him being a veteran for as long as he's been, right, doing all the things that he's done, he's been Mr. Consistent for almost a decade. This is not the Kirk Cousins the Falcons thought they were buying when they brought him in.
That's why I said he's not my cousin. He's Kirk Cousins. So, all right. So this next game, we were going to talk about this game, but this is probably the what had happened game. I'm going to move that. Now, I was going to originally put the Bears as the what had happened. Would have been there too many times this year, right? Well, since they fired the coach, now we know what happened. They fired the coach, right? So we don't have to go there. So we're going to save the what had happened game was, and we're going to skip on to the Cardinals and the Vikings, which I tell you what, man, another team that Vikings win the game by 3-22 at home. So, man, I expected more of a offensive output. And what's going on with Justin Jefferson? Why are his numbers not where they need to be?
I think it's Sam Darnold, the Minnesota offensive line. This Minnesota should have lost this game. That was kind of what I was alluding to when we were talking. I think the Packers don't end this season number 3 in that division. I think the Minnesota's kind of taking a step back. That offense is it takes way too long to get out of the gates for Minnesota. Sam Darnold needs 2 quarters to warm up. He did come back. He looked pretty good in the second half. Arizona should have won this game. Kyler Murray looked better. Trey McBride's a stud. Jett has had a decent game, but it's not what it should have been. And despite the supporting cast around Justin Jefferson in terms of a wide receiver core, it has been some pretty lackluster output from the guys around him. And I kind of think it's Sam Darnold. I think that's why they brought in Danny Dimes. Jones for landing somewhere else so quickly. But they brought in Danny Dimes. I think Sam Darnold might be on his way out. And Danny Dimes might step in as the de facto QB2 behind McCarthy next season for that reason.
And that's kind of really tough to think that way, because here's the thing. They look, the Vikings are on a 5 streak here. So, and you're right, they do start off slow, but somehow it's how you finish.
They're 10-2.
And say what you want. They only one game behind the Detroit Lions. And I think we're in for another showdown coming up here pretty soon, if I'm not mistaken, between the Vikings and the Lions, which, could be for the division for all we know. Now, wouldn't that be something? We just talked about the third place team that only has, 3 losses, right? They're 9-3.
Yep.
And that's the Green Bay Packers. So how about being 10-2, second place? And we know where the Lions are with their record. So, man, I don't know. Maybe this is what it is. They came out the box hot. Somewhere they have slowed down, getting, like you said, Jacob, getting out of the first and second quarter, barely with 6 and 9 points, 6 points here going into the halftime, and then before they finally, put 17 up in the second half. But no. And Justin Jefferson, last week I think it was Addison, right? I don't even know if Jefferson was that much of a factor, but he did get 99 yards there, and did he get a touchdown there?
I
don't think he got a touchdown. No, 7. He was targeted 9 times. And 7 receptions for 99 yards, average 14 a catch. Like something is missing, or something is gone haywire, or maybe we're expecting too much.
Even in Sam Darnold's defense, right? Like I can be pretty critical of him. He's on one of my fantasy teams. I can be real critical.
Well, he's my starting quarterback in my sleeper league.
But they're also missing a run game. You know, they went out and they got Aaron Jones in the offseason, and he's been inconsistent. I mean, you take the one long run away from Aaron Jones that he had today, he finishes this game with like 42 rushing yards. Like it was not a consistent run game.
And a fumble.
And a fumble.
Yeah.
And they don't have anybody capable behind them. I mean, they do, right? They're in the NFL.
Yeah. Someone, give it to the rookies. It's the year of the rookies. Give it to the rookies. The rookies are just taking over the league. There's no shame. They're not afraid of anything, because if you can watch, if you watch college football, and by the way, speaking of college football, did you see Georgia and Georgia Tech? I watched all 8 overtimes, and look, it sounds dramatic, but college overtime sucks. Okay, they really need to do something. It just sucks. It's no reason to play that many overtimes when you're getting these kids ready for the NFL. Just give them the NFL overtime. Would you agree?
Yeah, no, I agree for sure. But I mean, it is entertaining though. But yeah, I agree. It's too complex.
I mean, entertaining. Looking for a 2-point conversion for like damn near an hour. It's like watching paint dry.
It's more entertaining when it's just like when they're going for touchdown. But yeah, when it's the 2-point conversions, I hate that. Yeah, they need to change it.
Yeah, but it's just remarkable. Anyway, I let's get back on point here. But we should see what happens with the Vikings. I just think. Week 14, which is next week. Oh, yeah. Speaking of week 14, there's a lot of buys. So that's going to. And you in week 14? I hope I am. I hope I am. Because I know, look, all my guys, I got bit by the buy bug last week. Okay. I think it was when the 6 teams had buys. So I think I'm steamrolling now as we get ready for the playoffs in fantasy football. Okay, so we're going to wrap up this next hour when we come back, folks. Once again, you're listening to The Mean Gene Show with Jacob Meadows right here on ESPN 97.5.
Now back to Mean Gene, broadcasting live from the Veritex Community Bank Studios.
All right, folks, we are back here. Going to wrap up the first hour of The Mean Gene Show here with Jacob Meadows from the Coach's Quarter and AJ in the studio. Okay, look. All right, there's a reason why I'm wearing this shirt here. Okay, this is what we're getting ready to talk about, a game that was predicted to be a low-scoring game that turned out to be one hell of a shootout. I cannot remember in all the years of watching the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cincinnati Bengals where these games have always been close, especially back there with the Marvin Lewis. With those Bengals, but no one expected the Steelers, who sat alone in first place in the AFC North because Baltimore lost today, so they have a 2-game lead over the Ravens now. Okay, the Steelers are 9-3. They went into I think it's Paycor Stadium, where my great friend Icky Woods served some good brisket. Now I'm sure they was eating good. Because guess what else they was doing? They was losing good too, baby. The Steelers win 44-38. At one time it was getting ugly, but the Bengals came back and scored some late touchdowns. But Jacob, did you expect this shootout here?
I did not. I bought into the media narrative, right? I thought it was going to be a low-scoring game. I kind of figured maybe 27-20. Edge to whomever, right? But Danger Russ was feeling himself. Joe Burrow, he got hot there at the end of the game, but that Cincinnati defense is awful. That is
god-awful.
It's so bad.
It's awful.
And, man, the Steelers just look good. They are a very complete team. The defense is good, just like it has been since, 1976. And their run game looks okay. It sees flashes of not doing great, but, they are good. That is a good team. The Steelers are good. I don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl, and that's about all I can say bad about that.
Well, look, you're right about Dangerous. Throws for a season-high 414 yards, 3 touchdowns. This was incredible stuff here. Just a great win here. And in doing so, The Steelers have now had a winning record for 21 straight seasons. They tied the Dallas Cowboys there. The Cowboys had it at one time. It damn sure ain't been lately, but they did have it at one time. Where,
ha.
Okay, all right. I was waiting for something, AJ. But the Steelers since 2006 have had that's 21 consecutive winning seasons, and Mike Tomlin, you already know his record. He has not had a losing season. So and look, I expected this game to come down to a field goal and just be really close, but man, the Steelers are really playing. Russell Wilson, whatever you want to say about Tomlin's decision to shuffle these guys, the man knows what he's doing, okay? And Russell Wilson, this is not the Russell Wilson that was in Denver, nor Russell Wilson in his late seasons with the Seattle Seahawks.
No, not at all. I mean, he looks good. He's spreading the ball around. He even tried to run it a couple times, which, I mean, he has aged a little bit, and he is not the Legion of Boom Russ that could move around quite as well. But he has played exceptional ball. And like you said, say what you will about Mike Tomlin's decision to start him, because it could have been a compensation-based thing. It could be because maybe Fields wasn't showing everything that they wanted. It could just be because they wanted to kick the tires on Russ. But deservingly so. And can you believe that there have been chirps the last couple of years that Mike Tomlin should be fired? It's absurd.
It's always.
It's absurd.
Mm-hmm. It's always that way. I mean, look here. Because I think, some fans want you to do more than just make the playoffs. They want you to win the whole damn thing. And the Steelers haven't always been the best team in their division. I mean, you look at these Ravens teams, you look at those Browns teams and Bengals teams there. So, I mean, it's tough. It's not. And then there was this one guy by the name of Tom Brady who was winning Super Bowls, in the AFC. So I'm like, what are you gonna do there? Yeah. I mean, you never know what might happen this year, and we should see. But it was a good division win, and they did not expect the Ravens to lose to Philadelphia and Baltimore. That happened now. They have what you call a cushion in the AFC North because they have to play the Ravens again, which it might be a meaningless game at this point now. They're gonna play each other late in the season, and the Steelers now have that cushion there. So how about this game here? We Anthony Richardson and the Colts, they hang on in a clutch to sneak past the Patriots, which they win 24-25. A lot of close games today, yep. Jacob, but the Colts are now 6-7. Which second place in the AFC South. I can't say now that they don't have in the hunt at this point.
They are aiming for a wild card spot. They needed this dub to get there, and they did. How about Shane Steichen going for 2 at the end of it to take the lead? And then it was a beautiful win, right? 2-point conversion was perfect. AR looked really good. And then New England drove down the field and missed A for the record, B for the win. By about yay much. And it was right down the middle, and the Patriots ended up losing. But shout out to the Colts. It was a really good win. Thank God the Texans swept them this season because it does feel like they're on a tear.
It does look like things are changing. The same, decision there as far as thought it was going to be Joe Flacco for the remainder of the year with the Indianapolis Colts. So somehow they decide, well, you know what, we're going to go ahead and go with this Richardson guy, which for the last couple of weeks they have needed him on the field because he has gotten them some quality wins. He did it with his legs today too, right? I think he got in, let's see, where's his stats
9
here?
9 carries for 48 yards and a toucher.
Yeah. So he did get in there, and his overall stats, 24 attempts, completed 12 of those, 109 yards, 2 touchdowns and two interceptions, but enough to get the win. Jonathan Taylor, he helped a lot with 25 carries and 96 yards. So I tell you what, a couple of more weeks of football left here, and that's why the Texans is so important now. They pretty much have to win out.
It's coming down to, again, thank God we got the sweep on them.
I know.
The Colts are moving. AR's getting better on the fly. The run game looks good. Alec Pierce is a much better football player than I give him credit for. And he seems to always come down with a late game touchdown that somehow puts the Colts in a position to win games. So, yeah, I mean, it is coming down. But on the flip side, right, New England, maybe not as bad as what they should have been. Like Drake May, football guy. I'm going to say that every week I'm on this show. Stud. He is so good at football, and I thought he was going to suck. So it is the Patriots definitely aren't winning very many more to finish this season, but they did look good against the Colts, and they snatched defeat from the jaws of
Boy,
defeat
they
today.
did. They did. And you know what? Drake May, I tell you what, I think the Patriots fans would rather have Drake May than Mac Jones. You can between these two quarterbacks. And I think the future does look bright for Drake May and the Patriots. I just don't know why. It just seems like their receivers, man, they haven't had good quality receivers in a long time, and they just kind of get by with their receivers.
Yeah, I do think that this, Belichick didn't like to spend on receivers. That was the big thing. I mean, he got Randy Moss, but outside of Moss, he didn't like to spend on receivers. I know he brought in Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith for ridiculous contracts there at the end. But I think that there might be some big-name free agent receivers that are willing to go to New England to play for Drake May, right? They have Ramondre Stevenson at really good. That defense is pretty okay and could definitely improve. So I think we might see a much different New England team, especially if Gerard Mayo can get in and kind of unify everybody. They get them on that, back in the Patriot way, but Gerard Mayo's Patriot way.
3-10, the Patriots are right now, place in the AFC East, which, we'll see what happens next year. So, look, I got to give a quick shout-out because AJ, Jacob, the Christmas tree, okay? My girl, her daughter, she decorated the tree, and we wanted to make sure we had the tree. And, look, if you haven't gotten your tree up, get it up now, okay, because it's that time of the year. You got yours up?
Well, my girlfriend's got hers up.
Okay.
It counts for the both of us.
Okay, there you go. AJ, you got your Christmas tree up?
Oh, yeah, but I helped my mom the other day put stuff up. I mean, I really didn't want to, but, yeah, I got volunteers, so,
Good son, AJ.
Yeah.
Yes, okay, good.
When I get a girl, I'll probably help her.
Because look, I mean, it's that everyone knows the day after Thanksgiving, you got to have that tree up. I mean, it's just it just makes no sense.
Some people put it up in November.
Before Thanksgiving? Oh, Halloween. Oh, no, I don't think I've ever.
Me either.
That's pretty damn early. AJ, are you at all concerned that the Texans could probably squander their lead there? Not their lead, because they always going to have the lead over the Colts, but just win-loss records here. They're really flirting with the Colts here. I mean, the Colts could finish better than the Texans.
I think the Texans, they'll still win. They're going to have that tough stretch against the Dolphins, the Ravens, and the Chiefs. That's going to be an interesting fixture right there later in the month. But I think they'll still win the division. But I think for the Texans fans, it's how they're winning the games too. They really haven't had an impressive win the whole season, honestly, except for the Patriots game, if you look at it in the grand scheme of things. So I think a lot of fans just aren't satisfied. That's the consensus I hear that from all Texans fans, that they're just not happy with how they played overall this year.
When will the real Texans return, Jacob? I mean, do you know what we saw in the weeks 1, 2, and 3? I mean, when are we going to see that again?
Probably weeks 1, 2, and 3 next year.
That was it.
I'm hoping they turn it around for the playoffs, right? I hope we get some sort of continuity, I guess would be the best word for it at this point, with the offensive line and everybody healthy on offense and all of our. Azeez Al-Shaair doesn't absolutely spearhole Trevor Lawrence into oblivion today. I do think that our defense plays a little better. He is our best linebacker no matter what anybody says. The guy's really good at football. Did deserve to be ejected. Hopefully he doesn't get suspended.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be what it is.
I really liked how the coach was out there trying to, tell him, hey, not here. This is not the time or the place. We got to get off the field and do what needs to be done. Just an unfortunate situation that happened, and we hope that Trevor Lawrence is okay from that injury. It did take him out the game, and they did have to put in that Texans Jaguars game. So look here, we are going to wrap up this first hour. When we come back in the second hour, folks, we got our main man Dustin Pfeiffer, who covers the Carolina Panthers for FanDuel Sports Southeast. He's going to join us to talk about that Colts Buccaneers. Panthers Buccaneers game this afternoon, and then we also have our What Had Happened Was coming up in the next hour, as well as updates and recap some of the late games. Okay, so stick with us. It's the Mean Gene Show right here on ESPN 97.5 Houston.
It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper, a woo-hooer, a hand clapper, a high-fiver? If you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. Choose from hundreds of social casino-style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses. So don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
This is Joan.
Morning.
Joan is an owner-operator truck driver.
Yep, hauling some produce today.
She doesn't have the time to fool around.
Whew, so true.
Joan traded up to Geico Commercial Insurance for serious 360 coverage, not just for her truck, but for her cargo. She can even get serious savings for her inspection history.
So, where's the Geico twist? Is Napoleon going to come out driving a forklift?
Bonjour! No, this is a serious Geico ad.
Oh, no. Au revoir!
Get more with Geico Commercial Insurance. Trade up today at geico.com/commercial. Miles here is an electrician running wiring for this new home build.
Good morning.
Miles doesn't have time for funny business.
I guess.
Miles traded up to serious commercial auto insurance from Geico for customized coverage that grows with his business, all for seriously low rates.
So, where's the Geico surprise cameo?
Come again?
You know, like some big famous football player or something. He's gonna bust through that wall, isn't he?
No, this ad is serious business.
Guys, get over here. You gotta see this.
No, there's nothing funny over here. Sorry. Get more with Geico Commercial Insurance. Trade up today at geico.com/commercial.